Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in for another episode. Today we're going to talk about some topwaters and more specifically 5 must-have topwater colors. These are like the 5 must-have topwater baits for me every time I head out on the water. I've got very specific situations for each, but I carry this color in a multitude of different baits. So it's not just specifically the bait, but more so the color that I want to talk about today. Man, I love topwaters, guys. There's nothing better than getting a big strike or getting on a really good topwater bite to keep you wanting to be out on the water, to fish more, to get new people involved in the sport. Topwater fishing is exciting. That's all I can say. If I could throw a topwater all day long, I'd be a happy camper. And these colors will hopefully help you catch a few extra fish. Now, before I get into these specific colors, I do want to remind you that I've got a members only site as well. So if you go to my YouTube homepage and click the join button, you can find out more about that. I offer 2 additional videos a month, a monthly live stream, as well as direct access to me to ask me your questions directly. And also, guys, if you want to support the channel in another way and you're looking to purchase some tackle, please use my Tackle Warehouse affiliate link. I'll put the link as well as a link for each of these baits in the video description so that you guys can go check them out for yourselves. Everything I make from that comes right back into the channel, and it's very, very much appreciated. All right, so let's talk about these baits. In no specific order, I'm just going to grab one, talk about it, say why I like it, where I like to use it, and move on to the next one. I could probably do a specific video on each of these, but I'm combining them all into one video. So let's start with the first one. So this guy right here is called Olive Shad. This is the Berkeley Olive Shad in the Jaywalker that you can see right here. That's what it comes in. The olive shad is a very traditional color. There's actually a lot of baits that are made in this color, and they go way back all the way to like the creek chub days when they made a color that was called silver shiner. Greenback, glitter on the sides, and white sides. A very, very natural, realistic bait. But there is something to this bait when you're fishing around the shad spawn and when you're fishing that early part of the summer when a lot of fish are starting to get out on shallow flats and shallow bars. Works fantastically on the TVA lakes, but just not there. It is a very, very good all-around color that you can use pretty much across the country. From a color standpoint, I don't know if there's something to the glitter sides that really generates some good fish attracting ability, but I can tell you that this guy right here is one of my absolute all-time favorite colors in a topwater. And I am not just one of the only ones. Like I said, this color goes back all the way to like the early 1900s when people were using it, when Creek Chub was coming out with it. Heddon had a similar color. I probably should have gone and grabbed one. In fact, the world record bass, I believe, was caught on this color. It was just a creek chub wigglefish. I might have to go back and check that. Some of you guys will probably confirm that for me, but it was a creek chub wigglefish, and I believe it was that color. So that's one must-have. Sticking with the same bait, the Jaywalker, this is called CJ Shad. CJ Shad is an absolute must-have color when you're fishing really clear bodies of water. This bait right here almost won me the US Open on Lake Mead. I jumped a couple fish off that day that would have given me the win, but I caught a bunch of them on this bait. This is my cold stone killer for clear water smallmouth fishing, as well as natural lakes for largemouth up here in the North Country. Generally speaking, this bait triggers them, and I think it just has to do with the translucent sides, but every time you walk it and roll it, you get a little flash of that chartreuse, which is a really good triggering mechanism when it comes to getting the fish to strike your baits or have a reaction strike from the fish. But CJ Shad, this is again the Berkeley Jaywalker, an absolute must-have bait, must-have color. You can get a lot of them. Both of these colors, a lot of other companies that make walking baits have this color. They just call it a different name, but it's an extremely popular color, and it's because it catches them. Next up, let's talk about this guy right here. This is a Brian's B. This is the Bull Bream color. This is specifically a B3, this size. They make bigger ones as well. I don't know what it is about this, but when I'm fishing the middle part of the summer, when I've got a lot of bluegill that are on beds, this bold bream color is the color that I have found that does the best job at triggering those bass that are feeding on bluegill beds. And to me, it's a very, very realistic color. A lot of times what you find are these really bright, fantastic bluegill type colors, but really when you catch them, a lot of them have very much a silver side fading into a light green with a little bit of a blue hue. So it does a really good job at mimicking what the majority of standard bluegill, especially young ones, look like. And I don't know what it is, but this is one of my absolute favorite bluegill colors. The problem is this is a very specific color to the Brian's Bees baits. So you're not necessarily going to find it everywhere else, but when I am fishing around bluegill beds, this is always going to be tied on. Next up, another old standby, a Rebel Magnum PopR in their Tennessee Shad color. This is by far my favorite Rebel PopR color. It's a very standard color, but there is something to it that seems to generate strikes. It works everywhere I go, from dirty water to clear water, whether I'm fishing largemouth, spotted bass, or smallmouth. I have had phenomenal days on this bait. This specific color is my number one color choice. So if I had to choose one color, this would be it when I'm talking about my PopRs. And this is a bait that I have won a lot of money on. You guys see me filming a lot of videos with it, catching a lot of fish on it, and it just seems to work across the country regardless of species. The last color that I'm going to pull out here is this all black Chapo. This is what Berkeley calls their Maverick color. You would think there'd be a lot of black topwaters. Berkeley offers pretty much every one of their topwaters in the Maverick color, but a lot of other companies do not make black topwaters. And I really feel like that's a big mistake because black is one of the best nighttime color baits to throw. It provides a good silhouette on the surface, and therefore, in your low light conditions, black is an extremely good color to throw on your topwater baits. It just gives the fish a good target to go after versus, if you're fishing very clear water, throwing something like that CJ Shad, that's a translucent bait, it can be hard for them to track, which sometimes you want in really clear water. But overall, if I'm fishing low light conditions, I have to have something like this Maverick color. It's more of a matte black, but it's really, really popular, especially in the fall as well, all day long. But if I'm fishing early morning or late afternoon or even through the night, I'm throwing an all black topwater. And not just for bass, that's for like muskie as well. I like to do a lot of muskie fishing, and black is a phenomenal color, but it all has to do with just allowing the fish to be able to track your bait and therefore increase your hookups. And I don't know why more companies don't offer black. I feel like black should be the first color that every topwater bait is made in. But apparently I'm not the only one, or I'm not the one who's painting all the baits, so I don't get that call. But I really think they're missing out. But it's one thing that Berkeley does really well, because all of their topwater baits you can get in that Maverick color. But those right there are 5 pretty much can't miss colors when you're talking about topwater baits. I know a lot of people are going to be out there and say, well, topwater color doesn't really matter that much because the fish doesn't see it. A lot of that color is on the top of the bait, and therefore the fish don't get to see it because they're looking at just the belly. So most of these have like a whitish colored belly, and therefore they're all the same. But in my opinion, every time you move that bait, every time you twitch it or walk it or pop it, you get portions of that bait that go underwater, that roll on its side, and you get flashes. You get very quick little flashes of color. And to me, that's what triggers the fish to, that's what triggers reaction strikes from the fish. If they're seeing it, looking at it, and they're like, doesn't look all that enticing, or there's nothing different about it, and then all of a sudden they get a flash of chartreuse, or they get a flash of orange, or something quick, that can be enough to make them think either that topwater's trying to get away, or that topwater is different, or it's doing something to flee. That's what triggers reaction strikes. So I almost feel like having just a little bit of color is very important to getting those. And in my opinion, they are not all the same if they've got a white belly. Anyways, guys, let me know, what color For your top waters, do you feel like our can't miss, must have colors? Leave that in the comment section for the rest of us so we can learn from you as well. Otherwise, if you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Stay tuned, we'll have a new video coming out tomorrow for you.